So here's the thing. There's no universal definition, right, for what it is, right? So I collected some common themes, what it probably is and what it probably is not, right? So not a definition, but just to see the common themes. So the common theme is that it is a tool that enhances your happiness and contentment, right? It's not the end, it's a means. So that's why, it should not be the objective, it's just a tool that helps you. It helps you focus on what's important to you, right? So a lot of stuff around you, we try to drive happiness out of a lot of things that actually are not giving us happiness. So this takes a step back and says, okay, what in our life actually brings us happiness and joy? And let's just focus on that. It's just as simple as that. Helps you use all your currencies in life wisely, right? A lot of times, people are just hung up on one currency to one, right? But we deal with money, energy, and time. And probably time is being probably the most important one, and we ignore that, right? We're working for so long, not enjoying our jobs, and wasting time, and just focusing on money only. So that's why it just helps you. A lot of times people think that minimalists are very careful with money, so they're too hung up with money. Actually, it's not. They want to get the money out of the way so they can focus on the other things. This is important, right? It helps you reorganize your life based on your priorities, right? The word yours is more important. Because a lot of times what we do is everything around us revolves around what society thinks is important for us, right? I want to have that car, I want to have this, I want to have that, because it's supposed to be good for us. You say, no, I don't care about the status quo. I'm going to define my own priorities, right? So it challenges status quo. And a lot of people would have thought I would put this in the what is it not, right? Minimalists are abnormal. I purposely put that there because minimalists are abnormal. You'll see why. So we'll talk about what normal is. What it is not, like I said, it's not the objective, right? The objective is to be happy. This is a tool. So you use it to the point it helps you, right? That's why there are no set rules. A lot of people think there's a criteria to qualify, right? I have to have only X number of things. I cannot have, if I have this collection, I cannot be a minimalist. There's no definition. You get to define it. So that is not minimalism. A lot of people think it's about deprivation, right? Sacrifice. So they say, it's good to do it for a while so that you can later on enjoy life, but let's sacrifice right now. And it's not that, right? It's about happiness now. It's not about delayed gratification. Because if you think about it, most of the time in our lives, happiness is always something in the future, right? Oh, if I get this, then I'll be happy. If I make so much money, if I have a net worth of this much, then I can relax, I'm retired. Beach is, sitting relaxing on the beach is always in a distant future. And so minimalism is not about that, right? It's about being happy today. It's also not about being frugal. A lot of people confuse minimalism and frugalism, right? Frugalism, the people are only concerned about not spending money. Not too much focused on what they really need, right? If they get a good deal, they will go buy themselves the stuff. Minimalists would say no, right? Because they're more inspired by what they need and not what the deal is, right? A lot of people think it's extreme budgeting, right? Extreme budgeting to save for today so that you have money for tomorrow. It's not extreme budgeting. Another one is the word minimalism implies less. And that's what throws away a lot of people. They say, I don't want to have less. More is better. So the word less, right? So they're saying it's about having less. Our definition is a little bit different. The way I see minimalism is that if you hear the word minimum, that means at a minimum you must have this one. Right? So you can set minimal specifications in your life that I must have this much fun. I must have this much time for myself. We happen to live in a society where most people have access to things. So when we go to minimalism, we downsize. Imagine we were living on a planet where people had less than what you saw what you had. When you go to minimalism, you're really actually mindful. So we just happen to be in a consumeristic world. So therefore, minimalism implies that. It's not about that. A lot of people think that it's about phobia of things. We've seen some interviews, people are talking about minimalism, but they say, no, but I'm not a minimalist because I'm not afraid of things. Implying that minimalists have some kind of phobia with things. Again, not true. And also, some interviews, they explain all of this, how they're enjoying life and all that. In the end, the interviewer will say, okay, but what do you do for fun? Okay? You miss something, right? I'm having more fun because I'm doing something that I actually enjoy. working 8 to 5 on something that you don't enjoy for 40, 45 years is not fun, right? So, also people think that minimalists buy cheap things, right? Because they want to spend money, so they will buy cheap things. Again, wrong. Minimalists have less money, so they can use the money wisely to buy things that are better in quality, right? So they focus on quality, because they want to buy something once and get that last, rather than buying a lot of things that they have to keep cycling through them, right? Another thing is, people think minimalists are lazy because a lot of the minimalists are talking about retiring early, not having to work that much, so that implies what? They're lazy. But they're not lazy, right? They're just smart. Exactly. I said minimalists are abnormal, right? So let's think about what is normal. Then you'll be happy to say you're abnormal. If you look at normal, 70% of the people in the U.S. live paycheck to paycheck. Now that doesn't sound that bad, right? Paycheck to paycheck, what's wrong with that, right? I'm making just enough money so I get by, right? What's wrong with that? It's not that. If they were content, I wouldn't be, complaining about it. They are unhappy, they don't love their job, and they always are complaining that I don't have, if I had more money, I would buy this, right? So they're not happy with the status quo. And they're barely getting by in a painful way, not in a way that, okay, I just have enough money, so I'm relaxed. In a painful way, we are paycheck to paycheck. 45 to 50 years of our life, most of us have jobs that we don't love. Very few people are very lucky that they enjoy their life, their job. Most people are not happy with their job. And if you ask the question, if you win the lottery, do you want to keep working? The answer is no. That means you don't enjoy the work. Most people are buried in debt to acquire things we don't have money to enjoy. Right? We get all this debt. And buying things, homes, cars, all that, but we're so busy that we don't even have time to enjoy those things. Also, after all that hard work, okay, that you work for 40 years, 50 years, you got to have something to show for. Most people, by the time they're retired, they got nothing to show for. And in general, we never content, right? Happiness is always a situation, whatever you think, what makes you happy. Very few people tell you, describe happiness as something they have today. They always describe it as something in the distant future. When I get this, when this happens, when my children graduate, finally we are on our own, retired, something in the distant future. Also, we say it's in the future, but we don't have any goals for it. Right? How many people have written goals that they're actually working towards, right? And what are the likelihoods of getting to a goal if you don't even have that goal? Also, we have become compulsive consumers, right? And we'll talk about that. So the question is, do you want to be normal, right? So don't be afraid to be called abnormal or weirdo or whatever. That's okay. That's a good thing, right? It's not a bad thing. All right, let's talk a little bit about why is that, right? So why have we become consumers? Why have we become what we are? Why have we become normal so bad? So let's talk about some factors, right? Some of the factors are external, what's around us, right? The environment. Society and marketing correlates happiness with spending, right? Everybody's telling you that your life sucks if you don't have this. Your life sucks if you don't have the iPhone 7, right? And it's constantly telling you that. And therefore, you have to leave that correlation. Happiness equates with spending money. So if you're down, what do you do to pick yourself up? Let's go buy something. What makes me happy? Well, deep down it doesn't. It makes us more unhappy. Then what do? Buy more. We have a lot of rituals that bring in stuff, right? Nothing takes us out. Everything brings things in, right? All the holidays, birthdays, whatever you have it, everything brings things in, right? All the guidances that we have, even the people who guide you on financials, the rules of thumb they have are about spending. For example, they will say, okay, spend about 15-20% on home, this much on this. If you add it up, it's almost 100% or more. So they're telling you don't save any money. If anything, spend more than you make, so therefore you'll be there. So all the rules of thumb are wrong, right? Nobody's telling you that your savings rate should be 50%, 60%. That's what you need to have financial independence early, right? In fact, debt is considered okay, right? In fact, not even okay, it's powerful. A lot of the stocks that we've done, and we talked about paying off mortgage early, everybody says, oh, if you pay the money to the bank, then they will have power. So having debt is powerful, right? That's the mindset. Economy is dependent on it, right? So the whole economy depends on it. Obviously, all the policies, everything will promote consumer, promote minimalism. Nobody makes money with minimalism, right? Then we have the metrics of economy skewed up, right? GDP, we measure the health of a country based on how much people are spending. GDP, why is that the metric of happiness? We also have planned perceived obsolescence in fashion. Gross domestic produce. So this is like how much money we are spending. They say the economy is slowing up, slowing down, growing. That's what it is. How much is the GDP? How much are people spending? So more spending is supposed to be good.
And in some other countries, they actually measure how well a country is doing by how much happiness their citizens report. Why can't we do that?
Yeah. Exactly. Planned perceived obsolescence in fashion, right? So fashion comes in. A lot of times oscillates back and forth, right? They feel going back and forth, telling you whatever you have right now sucks. You gotta change it. Some is planned, so a lot of the things that they make today are planned, designed so that, yes, because appliances fail after 2 years. I mean, there are appliances used to last for 30 years. Now they are designed to fail after a certain amount, so we keep buying. And nobody repairs them. Nobody repairs them. If there may be a small switch fail, let's throw the whole thing. That's good for the environment, right? Let's throw it away. All right. And then perceived, right? Something is perfectly fine. I have an iPhone that is perfectly fine. The new one probably doesn't even have any features that I care about, but no, I have the new one. Because as far as I'm concerned, the society told me this thing is obsolete, right? Also, it's contagious, right? That's why it's kind of broke. So the Joneses effect, right? So the Joneses, most of the Joneses are broke. And they want you to be broke too because they love money. And they're telling you, showing you every possible way that you got to be on the same boat, right? The trolling, right? Discouragement. So if somebody is even trying to be a minimalist, trying to do the right thing, you're going to be discouraged. We get discouraged a lot on our channel. Believe it or not, and even if we say something simple as, okay, this is what we are doing, we're not even telling you to do this. How dare you say that, right? You can't do that. You can't sell your bags. You can't pay off mortgage. I mean, those things people have. So if you really believe that, why would you bother to go on a minimalist site to begin with? Right? So does that mean that they are trying to convince us or themselves? Right? A lot of trolling going on because what's happening is they have rationalized a certain way. Right? Deep down they know it's wrong. They've rationalized it and we're messing with their rationalization. And they don't like it. Right? Yeah. So, and then materialism, right? So the materialism, what I say is the demand price, the inverse cause and effect, right? So normally it would make sense that things should be expensive because they're in demand. All makes sense, right? That's supply demand. But that's not the case all the time. A lot of times something is in demand because it's expensive. Like diamonds are expensive only because they're in demand, but also they're in demand because they're expensive. If I always say if there's a meteor falls down on the earth and there's a bit of diamonds and everybody has a couple of carat diamonds, will we be interested in that? Well, talk about diamonds. Buy a diamond and try to sell it the very next day. Will you lose more than 50% right there? Yeah. And then there are all kinds of pricing gimmicks. They try to tell you what's the good price, right? And they try to make you buy more of something or for more. And they try to make you think that it's always the best deal today. What are the chances that anytime you are in the market to buy anything, it's always the best time today? Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Just that window that you have in the lobby. It's it. It's never going to struggle. Right? So, and then some of the internal factors, right? Those were the external ones, the environment ones. And psychologically, we have built-in stuff that we can't blame anybody else. These are, one of the number one is the fact that we are not honest ourselves about happiness. We don't take the time to step back and think about and evaluate our lives. Are we really happy? A lot of the Joneses, they just take a step back and think about are they really happy? The answer would be no, right? And one of the best explanations for why we incorrectly project happiness is given by this guy, Dan Gilbert, right? He's a psychologist, social psychologist. And he's done some research. And he explains that about 2 million years ago, in the evolutionary process, humans developed this tool that helps them, which is called imagination. So normally you would learn only by trial and error. Right? So if I cut a line in the text, we now know that it's a bad thing. But he got this thing that's frontal lobe of the brain that helps us imagine things. So what will happen based on the information I have? I will simulate that in my head. This is probably not a good idea. So that's a powerful tool, right? It helps you in the evolution because it makes you so likelihood of survival is more because I would not go with the line because the line can kill you. So it's a good tool. But it's still in beta testing. And it's not optimal for happiness prediction, right? Because evolution doesn't care if you underpredict happiness or overpredict happiness. So because of that, we always leave out the details. Just how we think about, okay, I'm going to retire in California and all the details. I'm going to only imagine that the nice weather and the beaches. I'm not going to think about traffic and other problems, the expense and all the other problems in life, right? So that's how that works. So he explains that and says we always overpredict happiness. So every time we say something, even if you're purportedly winning, in your imagination you will be so happy, but 15 minutes later you actually forget about it, right? So it causes a perceived happiness that if I get this, I'll be happy. That's driving us to minimalism. It's almost like the mule chasing the carrot, right? The happiness is always in the future, right? So if you ever imagine a mule and they dangle a carrot, it will keep walking. Someone make a mule walk. Will keep up. So that carrot of minimalism just keep dragging on. So how long before the mule says that let's go to plan B? No, it's not working. But we keep going for 40, 50 years, just happiness that's not there. Right? Also, we have ego and insecurities, right? So a lot of people will say, we can afford it or not. I cannot have no ego, right? We watch TV? No. Like I have cable in my house, right? Also, if they've been doing it for that long, they can't say I was wrong. That's a problem. That hurts my ego, right? So that's one thing. A lot of people say that, I'm helping the economy, right? You guys invested money in Apple stocks and this stock. If nobody is buying out those products, how will the stocks go up, right? So they think that they're actually helping the economy. Also the green factor, right? The people who are recycling and all that, absolutely great, right? If you have something to recycle, of course do that, that's better than not. But that does not do the damage. Recycling that is very small if you actually study that, very small impact recycling. The whole thing about the production and how that is done, but not consuming something has a much bigger impact than just recycling something. Also, people say everybody can't be wrong, right? Everybody's doing that, they can't be wrong. So either they can't be wrong, or if they're wrong, there's an effect that, we say it's like the joint loss. So like in the market tanks, people don't feel as bad because they say that everybody lost money. This is just a joint loss effect. Whereas if you invested in one weird stock and that went down, you feel very bad. But the whole market goes on, so everybody's lost, right? And therefore they say even if it's wrong, yes, everybody's losing. Also there's a sense of entitlement, right? I deserve to do this. You get a lot of comments, right?
Yeah.
Or they're telling us, you deserve, you work hard, you deserve to buy expensive things. You're not buying it because we don't really deserve it. We're not buying it because we don't really need it, right? So that sense of entitlement is there. Also for saving and spending, there's always a bias for, today for spending, but a bias for tomorrow for saving, right? So any good thing, like anytime, you thought about exercise, if somebody asks you, will you exercise next year? You want to have your plan and you want to exercise next year? Let's say, yeah, next year I'll do it. Do you do it today? No. So any good thing, there's always a bias for tomorrow, right? It's always tomorrow. But for spending, there's always a bias for today, right? Because that's the user today. Psychological standpoint, from again the evolutionary standpoint, we are inherently hoarders, right? To some point, because think about it, in the evolutionary process, we did not have the luxury of just walking to the grocery store, buying whatever we want to buy. We came across food, and if we get lucky, that we last for a while. And biggest problems in life used to be survival, right? If you don't get killed, that was a good thing. So in those days, it made sense to hoard, right? Find hoard stuff that is prosperity. So inherently, we are programmed that we've got to hoard to some extent. And that's still there. Even though we know as a grocery store is walking distance, we panic if you see the pantry half full. So that's driving us to that. Also, we are inherently gullible, right? Because it made sense in the evolutionary days. If somebody's telling us, hey, don't go there, there's a line over there, it is in my interest to believe that person, right? For the most part, we know that you should believe. I know every now and then somebody will trick me into something. For the most part, we are programmed to be gullible, and therefore marketing can take advantage of that. Also, we are inherently materialistic, right? Because the partner of the need is not interested in our best interest to show off the best possible things that attract other people. So it's not just about having, but having more than other people. That's a competition. So if everybody has a 1-carat diamond, I got to have a 2-carat diamond. I have to stand up. So that makes us inherently materialistic a little bit, right? Also, there's a perfection drive. Like a lot of people want to do the right thing. I want to start saving. I want to start investing. I want to start cluttering, decluttering, all that kind of stuff. But say, I got to do it perfectly, right? I got to come up with a plan that lets me do perfectly. Otherwise, I'm not going to do a half-baked job, right? And guess when I'm going to be perfect, right? Who is perfect? Nobody's perfect, right? So if you wait for the perfection moment, guess what? That's a way of saying I'm not going to do it. So people fall for the perfection trap. Another thing is that I find interesting is the meaning of the word afford, right? People say, no, I'll buy it because I can afford it. Well, that's interesting. But what is afford, right? So afford is something that, okay, I have the money in my bank right now. Is that afford? And I say I can buy this car because if it's $60,000, I have $60,000, can I afford it? What do you think? Some people say, not even that. I don't even have to have the $60,000. I have a credit line that allows me to buy that car, therefore I can afford it. And in my opinion, afford should be if you have a financial goal, right, that says that you have to save this much, and if that doesn't allow you to buy something, you cannot afford it. Plus, from a minimalistic standpoint, forget about what's the price. You need that. Even if it's the best deal on the planet, if you don't need it, you don't afford it, right? You don't even need it.
And one thing just to add to that, if you're looking at your life from the currency of energy and time, and how long did you have to work to earn that $60,000? Is it worth wasting that many hours of energy from your life to really afford it? And if your answer is yes, yes, and yes, by all means buy it. But if your answer is no, then you can't afford it.
Exactly. And then also we do all kinds of fuzzy mental accounting, right? We all do that, right? We will say, we save money, right? In theory, right? We saved mentally. Oh, I didn't buy that. I was going to buy that. I didn't buy it. Therefore, this money is freed up, so let me spend it. Right? In our heads, we save money. Nothing happens. It's just how it happens, right? So we do all kinds of weird math. There are a lot of equivalencies that we don't see in life. Not saving is the same as earning. We don't see that. Also, income versus saving. Most of the people say, in order to save more, I got to make more. Mathematically, you can show that your number of years to financial independence has nothing to do with what you make. It's all about the saving. It's mathematically true, right? So it's all about the saving. But people think all about it. So, okay, when I start making this much more, then I'll start saving. Guess what? Income goes up by that much, expenses go up that much also, if not more. Right? So all those are kind of the reasons.
Give your bucket leak.
Yeah. So one example I give is, think about if you have a bucket that has a little leak in it. Right? And your goal is to keep the bucket full. What should you do? Leaking the water. Would your solution be let's pour more water in it or plug that leak? Plug the leak, right? Once you plug the leak, then adding more water makes sense. The same thing with your financials, right? If you haven't plugged the leak, what's the point of adding more water? It's going to keep leaking anyway. But we see that a lot, right? A lot of people that they're trying to build by eating all that, they don't plug the leak, they're just looking at, okay, how do I add more? And they're working, I'm going to work extra overtime. Guess what? Leak is right. And overtime is not going to go anywhere. So, but the point is, I talk about all these problems. A lot of people will say, oh my God, so there's a huge conspiracy going on. Somebody's really after us, somebody's really trying to mess us up. Guess what? Nobody to blame. Absolutely nobody to blame, right? It's not a conspiracy theory. Who is to blame? It's all our stuff, right? The change has to come within us. So the solution, obviously, is guess what? Minimalism. Why is minimalism a solution? So individually, you can see that's obvious to see, right? You talk about getting happiness and all that, but how would it counter consumerism in society, right? And people will say that, oh, if everybody starts consuming less, and how will the economy work, right? How many people have jobs and all that? What they don't understand is that the whole system will change. It would be not just one system and then one thing changing. The whole thing will change, right? And how will that be changed? The whole economy will be more what's called shared economy, right? Everybody doesn't have to have everything. You'll be sharing stuff, right? You don't have to have your own, 50 cars. You can share the car, and Uber style, Airbnb. Even they're talking about communities in which, we have 2 cars and that will be shared, right? You don't have to have that many things to begin with. It's a shared economy. So people need less. If you need less, you need to have less jobs, right? Because people work less but more efficiently, right? And it's less waste. And the focus again is on G&H, I'm calling it gross national happiness, as you were saying, right? And actually, Bhutan, they have that word. The government has come up with this program called gross national happiness. And they're saying, let's optimize that as opposed to GDP. Who cares about GDP? People spending more money. How is that good for people? So the idea is that we have to take greed out of the system, right? All this is powered by greed. I mean, it could be any system. I mean, we live in a capitalistic world. There's nothing wrong with capitalism. We just have to take some greed out, right? And because greed is what driving wars and corruption and market crashes and exploitation and workers, environment and all that. That's greed, right? So you take that greed out. And you take the greed out because if you're minimalist, you're not going to be greedy, right? I'm not going to be interested in how much money you have in your wallet. I don't need that. I'm that, right? It's just more content, more tolerant, right? All the problems we are having in the world is mostly because people are not happy with what somebody else believes. If you're minimalist, who cares what the other people believe? I'm happy, right? So happy society is a peaceful society, right? Now, the thing is, it's a very small community. Not many people, all that know minimalists, I mean, we pretty much count them on fingertips. We all know each other. This is a small community right now, but they're very impactful. Slowly it's growing. There's a lot of, you've heard about tiny houses. There's a whole thing that's kind of slowly expanding. That's why the purpose of this gathering is to kind of promote that, right? And eventually what will happen is we'll pick up some critical mass, and the turning point will be that minimalists become the Joneses. Right now, the extreme consumers are Joneses. Minimalists should become Joneses because we are actually happy. Other people should look at us and say, why are these guys so happy? What they're doing right? We should be doing the same thing, right? Once that happens, then there will be a major change, right? So that's the reason why we want you guys to promote this. Now, and we'll talk about how to start and how should you share this with other people too. You have to be a little careful about that, right? So how do we start? So the first thing is, first of all, as yourself, you already started your journey. The reason the fact that you're here, you started that. But if you're not sure about it, right? Sometimes we have somebody who's there, but the other partner is not there, and vice versa. Evaluate your life honestly, right? Identify the opportunity. Nobody else can do that. Now you really have what's going on. You don't have too much time. Don't have too much money. What's going on? Right? What's fundamentally wrong? And everybody knows that, right? If you are honest with ourselves. Then the other thing is, whatever the gaps are, to fulfill the gaps, always have a written plan. A lot of people say when you have a written plan, it's very, very true. A lot of times people say, why do you have to write it down and lay it out? I know what I want. Unless you get serious about it, put pen and paper, and crunch the numbers and think about exactly what I'm going to do. The most important thing is why. You have to be convinced why. So people, for example, you want to have financial independence in a certain amount of time. If you're not convinced why, what's going to happen? Okay, so you've got financial independence. How does that change your life? If you don't have a good answer for that, you will never be motivated. Right? So we always say mindset first. You have to have an attitude, and then some kind of a system, right? So if you have to save money, you have to have a system, a budgeting tool, or whatever, all that. System comes next. But the first thing is a mindset. Because you can have the best system, the mindset is not there, you're not going to sustain it. You do it for a month, and then you'll go back. And like I said, you have to define minimalism for yourself. Don't go with the definition, right? Don't say that, I saw a minimalist that only has one backpack, and that's what minimalism is. No, you define it. You're just focusing on what's important to you. And if you're doing that, you just did a video on, I'm a minimalist, but, right?
Yes.
Or something like that, right? So a lot of people are scared to be called minimalist. Nobody's scared. What's wrong with that, right? And also, let it be an experiment. And that's one of those easy ways to convince, let's say, your significant other, right? If they're not on board, don't be very pushy and say, this is right and this is wrong. Because the moment you do that, you're going to alienate them, right? They'll say, okay, you are right, so okay, what the heck, right? Why should I care? And if you know what to do it, well, you go ahead, right? Put yourself on their side and just say that, these are some minimalists out there that they talk about that, so now you're closer to them. as opposed to saying, I want to be there, right? And let's go there together. They say it's there, I'm not 100% even sure, right? And let it be an experiment. Let's try it out. Easiest thing to start is decluttering. Nobody's going to argue against that, right? Nobody's going to say, oh, decluttering is going to mess up my life. So start with that, and then probably you'll start to get it. So that experiment thing is very powerful psychologically. Let's just try it for a while and see how it goes. Again, don't be afraid to be tagged as abnormal, because you will. A lot of people back away and say, oh, people think they're weirdos. Kids, even in schools, right? Our kids don't like buying too many expensive, sneakers and stuff like that, and kids will make up and say, hey, how come you did buy new sneakers or stuff like that? And they might have a tendency, but if they're well trained, they have good answers. Okay, it could be minimalist. Then back away, right? Minimalist, okay? They know what they're doing. So spread the word, but like I said, don't push it too much, right? Just say, hey, we're doing it, it's an experiment. Don't say that you know something that they don't. Say, okay, we're trying it. Let's see what happens. You're not even 100% convinced, which is fine. You're not lying. You're never 100% sure about anything anyway. I'm not sure. Who knows? Maybe 2 years from now, somebody convinces me of something else, right? So in general, I take my life a little bit casually, right? Let's see this is the best we know. So be an example, and the best way to spread the word is to be an example. If you are happy, then other people will see that. And most important of all is whatever goal you are in, enjoy the journey. Don't say that, okay, I'm going to start this, and once we get there, yeah, you have a goal, but don't say that happiness is once I accomplish that. The journey itself will be that. Otherwise, it'll always be an elusive thing. Once you get there, then the target will change, and then you're always chasing that. That's the mule chasing the carrot thing. You have to enjoy the journey. So you have to have that attitude, even if you are doing budgeting or whatever you're doing. Enjoy that. That's why it's all about the attitude and mindset, right? So that was it. So hopefully that was something that resonated. Obviously, you're working on board. Thank you. Here are some more deep dive topics that we talk about. Just wanted to see if any of these topics, you may be interested in for future talks. Things like, minimalism and finance, they're close to each other. So obviously, you're minimalist, it gives you financial advantage, things like that. Financial independence, saving rates, math about how that impacts, how many years to retire, things like that. How about investment strategies, right? How do you invest? Tracking finances, if you're doing some budgeting, how do you do that? Some tips on that. Money saving tips. Entertainment without spending a lot of money. A lot of people think entertainment is all about spending money. We enjoy a lot. And the funny thing is, we have more fun than most of the consumers that they pity us. They say, oh my God, you minimalist, poor guys, where you live right. We actually have much more fun. We do have vacation. We do everything. We're just smart about it, right? Vacation planning, this topic, penny wise, time foolish. Right? A lot of time, people are very penny wise, but time foolish. I would spend, hours and hours doing something and don't see that there was a loss because no money was going out, but time is money, right? So that's again, remember the currencies of life.
One thing is the overtime thing. Because if you overtime, you get taxed more, so you actually lose money.
That's not only taxed by the government, but taxed by your body, right? Your energy and all that. And again, if you haven't felt that peak, what does that overtime going to do? And even if you make the money, when do you really enjoy it? Because you're never home. So if you have the best home in the world, but you're never home, what's the point of doing that, right? Also, we talk about two-income trap, right? That's a very common trap, whether we should do that. It's not the yes-no answer, it's just some considerations. And then pricing dimension. So there's a lot of topics we talk about. So two-income trap, a lot of people say that, you have to have two incomes in the family. And again, it may be the right answer, but there are some things you need to consider, right? You may be losing. So from a minimalistic standpoint, a minimalist will try to reduce the number of hours you work, right? You enjoy more. Having two incomes, that means more time away from work.
We've actually heard stories of there was a couple, this was on the news, this isn't even like a private story, where they were both working, they had one child in daycare, and they were all of a sudden found out they were expecting another child. And so the husband was one day sitting down doing all the math of putting 2 kids in child care and then her driving expenses. When he did all the math, he found out that from her income, they were saving $5,000
that you're actually losing. So it's something to consider. So those are some of the things. Yeah, and you have to be very specific, right? So because everything we do should have a correlation with the end goal. So for example, if you say, I want to have this much net worth by this year, how are you going to get there? Well, you're going to get there by saying, okay, we have to calculate, this is my income, this is my spending, every month I have to do this. So every month you have to do this month, then you have a budget. I have this much for grocery, this much. So then every time you spend money, and how you say that it has an impact on that. If you're not tracking, you'll say, okay, if I have to be at $2 million, $15, $20, how does that add up to $1 million? But if you break it down, then everything adds up. So just by having the goal, there are a lot of studies that show that the moment you start tracking, even for ourselves, right? We were minimalists, but once we actually started tracking it religiously, that every dollar goes somewhere, our saving rate increased from about 65% just by watching.
We didn't change anything else. It's just tracking. Because the way I look at it, a lot of people think, well, I need that morning Starbucks. We don't look at it as I'm timing myself. I look at every dollar spent as a choice. So every dollar spent is also the opportunity to not spend it somewhere else, right? So we look at it as not that I'm not buying this, but I'm buying that later, or I'm saving up or getting closer to my goals. Instead of looking at it, oh, that's not bad. Wow, I can't have my Starbucks now. I'm thinking, well, I might be making my coffee at home, but I'm getting so much closer to my financial independence. So every dollar spent is a trade-off for something else.
And then if this is the small one, right? What about big purchases, right? If I want to spend $2,000, $3,000 on some upgrade or something, it's not really that important. So you can think of how much that impact, right? That may be a whole for months. Then you have to work extra. When we say we deserve it, yeah, you also deserve to work 2 extra months. And that's not even counting the compounding, because if I instead of investing, I'm spending, if I invest somewhere, that's going to compound and be a lot more in a few years.
You know what I thought is that I've been trying to do that, but we get a chunk, and then we have some kind of catastrophe, like the car breaks or the roof breaks, and then everything goes. It's like our favorite standard. Every time, you know. Yeah. And then I get so disheartened, so depressed with the subject.
I have a friend at work that always tells me the same thing. That every time I have money, he says that if I don't spend the money, some catastrophe will happen. So he actually believes that the catastrophe was happening because he didn't spend enough, and he had this cash sitting there that attracted that catastrophe. So I said, okay, why not put it somewhere that is not accessible? Put it in your mortgage. Put it in some investment that you don't even touch. And then that money is not there to attract the catastrophe.
Right. So we actually, I know that Brad and I need help because we have not been able to, we need some help in helping us for that because we're both not very good at math, and it seems that whenever we reach a certain point, it goes away because we either the roof or the
you have a budget that you can allocate and all that?
That belief.
yeah. It's like,
like a flood, car, like in the bayou, things like that. So I've been there, okay? But I feel like you can, I think you're in control of that. You can break that. The next time I get X amount of money, I will save that. Nothing will happen where I but I think the power of all of you together is that.
plus we have to break the break so we get the door down and then Brahma's expenses are